for the win. I hope you're not allergic.
All the best people are crazy. All the best people are.
What's up, crazies? My name's Jessie and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am a digital intermediate engineer, also known as a confirming artist who spent the last couple of years working in film post-production and can tell you a lot about how movies are made and what to notice while watching them. 2024 is almost over. What? So crazy. Another year gone. Where did the time go? Usually I would post a song on my second channel today, Jessie Grace, but since it is the last Monday of the year, I wanted to do something special. To close off this year, I wanted to talk about my most favorite TV shows of this year. Disclaimer, of course, I have not seen every show that came out this year. I'm only human after all. These are just my personal top picks, shows that inspired me, made me laugh, made me cry, and amazed me. Also, a little spoiler warning for the shows that I'm about to mention, but just a little. Not a lot. You can still watch it after. Originally, I only had 5 on my list, but then at the end of the year, something was released that was so absolutely incredible. It had to make the list. But without further ado, let's look at my top picks from this year. Fallout is set in a post-apocalyptic world over 200 years after a nuclear war devastated the planet. Some survivors live in vaults, not having been in contact with the surface for 2 centuries. The story follows Lucy, a resident of Vault 33, as she ventures out of the safety of her underground shelter into the irradiated and chaotic wastelands of Los Angeles to rescue her father, who was abducted by surface people who had broken into her vault. One thing I immediately noticed with the show was that it was shot on film. And after looking it up, I was right. Yes, I'm good at my job. It was, in fact, shot on the 35mm film with an anamorphic lens. An anamorphic lens compresses an image horizontally to make the field of view seem wider. The reason I noticed the show was shot on film was because the film grain on the footage felt dynamic, and it didn't put me off what artificial grain always does without fault. The grain on this show, however, didn't feel out of place. It was natural and not artificial. Something I touched on my first video where I talked about A Good Girl's Guide to Murder is that I am very much annoyed when people film digitally but want a film look, so they put on fake grain, artificial grain onto their beautiful clean footage to fake that film effect. It is a lot cheaper than filming on film, I give them that, but it also looks cheap because artificial grain just does not fit dynamically into the picture. It always feels out of place and is noticeable to a trained eye especially. The fact that they shot this entire show on film just for the look definitely is a testament to how expensive it must have been. They also didn't use a lot of CGI. It was mostly real visual effects. Built sets, crazy costumes, insane makeup. Somebody really wanted to make the show be as real as possible with as little CGI as possible. And that is pricey, but it looks amazing. Funnily enough, in this show it was very obvious to me where the build sets stopped and the CGI started. Because they used a lot of practical effects on set, the scenes where they did use CGI just always immediately stood out to me. But it wasn't something that bothered me. It was just always a little moment of, oh, that's a VFX, lol. But then the scene would sweep me up in its content and it was forgotten. This show is on the bottom of my list because it is a bit too gruesome and gory at times, for me at least. I'm a softy little girly, okay? I'm a cozy gamer. I play Dreamlight Valley and stuff. I don't want to see blood. I'm not a fan of blood and shot off limbs. I mean, look, does this look like a girl who wants to see people's head blown off. I have plushies all around me and I'm in my late 20s, so I think that's hint enough. All that aside, it did make the cut because the story was so incredibly well written and the show was so intense that I only needed like 2 days to watch it in its entirety. But because of all the gore, it won't become one of my comfort shows though. Still, I would very much like to see a season 2, and I really do hope they will make one. The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, is set in Middle-earth's Second Age and explores the events leading to the rise of Sauron and the foraging of the Rings of Power. Season 1 concluded with the creation of the 3 Elven Rings, while Season 2 continues the tale with the foraging of the 7 rings for the Dwarf Lords. The series weaves together the stories of various characters as they face the growing threat of darkness in their world. Now, I know a lot of people have their issues with the show and hate on it for whatever reason, and as much as they are entitled to that opinion, I am also entitled to loving this show. For me, okay, this is my list. This is one of the best shows ever made. I mean, I made an entire video about why I think it's so great. One of the critique points of season 1 was that the storyline was lackluster. Don't shoot me, I thought it was fine, but I also have to say I haven't read the books, I haven't read the Silmarillion, I only know the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit movies. That's as far as my knowledge goes, and I can understand if people have their issues. However, I am also much more of a visual person, and visually, season 1 was stunning. In season 2, the story was better written, it was more intense and more interesting. I loved seeing the directions the characters went and how they developed, and I felt that every character received the perfect amount of room to grow. To my dismay, however, I noticed that the visual effects were not as well made anymore as they were in season 1. It felt to me like they let the hate towards the storyline get to their heads and thus made shortcuts when it came to the visual effects because they thought people don't even appreciate all the hard work they're putting into the visual effects, so why even care? What's the point? And that made me sad. People need to understand that film is art. It's not just about the writing. It's something to look at. It is a visual and audible form of art. Not just the story tells the story, not just the characters tell the story, so does the aesthetics, the colors, the lighting, the placement of the camera, its movement, the sound design, the music. It's all of these different parts that come together to tell the story. All in all, I personally still love Rings of Power. I've loved it from the first moment I watched the first second and cannot wait for season 3. Three Body Problem weaves a narrative across 2 timelines. In the past, which is set during China's Cultural Revolution, a physicist becomes involved in a groundbreaking yet dangerous scientific experiment. The present-day storyline, situated in London, follows a group of scientists trying to understand a bizarre phenomenon where individuals see a countdown in their vision leading to their deaths when it expires. The visual effects in this show are so stunning and incredibly well made. Without spoiling too much, there's this helmet people wear that is completely reflective, and it is round. And you see none of the crew in the reflection. Do you know how hard it is to remove anything out of a round, reflective, and morphed surface? They had to film whatever would be seen in its reflection and then morph it onto this round moving thing so it looks natural. This must have taken months. When I first saw this, I completely lost all of my marbles. This show was a complete surprise. It was suspenseful, creative, intense, and so well made. I really hope we will get a season 2. And I do not mind if that takes 4 years because I prefer quality over quantity, as I mentioned in my Bridgerton video. I am patient. I can wait. Arcane is a steampunk action animation show that takes place in the world of the popular game League of Legends. It's about two orphan sisters trying to find their way in life in a divided society. That is as least spoilery as I could write it, okay? Yes, you guessed it, that was the last minute entry into Jesse's top 5, now top 6 list of favorite TV shows. Because if you've watched it, you know why. Now I know what you're gonna say. Jesse, isn't Arcane also gruesome sometimes and brutal? Yes, but it's animated. That's my only explanation. It's animated, and I don't have that much of an issue with violence if it's animated. I don't know. Plus, it's so beautiful to look at, so you can just ignore the violence. It's so pretty. It's so pretty, okay? And as I mentioned, I am a visual person and a sucker for aesthetics, which is what Arcane is all about. Because oh my God, this show is amazing. It's literally the perfect show. It's the definition of badass. Not to mention visually, it is a masterpiece. It's so incredibly well made. Like, it has Spider-Verse quality, if not even better. I thought personally that season 2 was even better than season 1, which was almost not possible, but somehow they managed to do that. The plot never got boring, everything made sense, there was a cohesive storyline, and the characters and their development made sense. The art style is incredible, the soundtrack slaps, it's just all a rich tapestry of film art. The people who made the show have so much love for detail and art, like there's one episode where they made frame by frame animation by drawing everything with actual charcoal. What?
The woman was too stunned to speak.
What? They just did that. And it looks incredible. Films often have the difficulty of being able to convey a character's emotional state without the crutch of voiceover. Arcane, however, has mastered show, don't tell. The way they animate every micro expression, every flicker of doubt or determination in a character's eyes, accompanied with an incredible soundtrack to set the scene and individual art style for every character, it's a whole other level of art. It's like they trust the audience to be able to pick up on subtleties without force feeding us what to think, which makes it even so much more immersive. They're also so masterful at weaving in music into the narrative, making it a character of its own. Each track feels tied to specific emotions or moments, and it stays with you long after. And through all of that, Arcane is such a dynamic, alive world you can just get lost in and be completely consumed by. I'm just floored. I'm amazed.
I am in awe.
I know there won't be a season 3, which makes sense for the storyline, but they have already announced that there will be spin-offs, for which I cannot wait. But I will wait because I know if they will take their time, it'll be amazing again. But yes, I am so much looking forward to anything and everything this French animation company will release in the world of Arcane. And if you haven't watched it yet, do yourself the favor and watch this show. It is, without a doubt, one of the most incredible things you will ever see. Bridgerton is a period drama that takes place in London in the year of 1813 and focuses on the marriage mart of the high society. The show mostly focuses on one specific family, the Bridgertons, and their stories of finding true love. There's also a mysterious gossip writer called Lady Whistledown, whose identity is unknown to the high society and who writes about any scandal that happens during the marriage mart season. No surprises here. The only reason Bridgerton beat Arcane was because I have been a fan of Bridgerton a tiny bit longer and have anticipated season 3 and its storyline a bit longer than Arcane. That's the only reason. As you might have picked up already, I'm a huge Bridgerton fan, and my favorite trope is in fact friends to lovers. I'm a sucker for the slow burn, and that is exactly what season 3 of Bridgerton was all about. I had been anticipating this season for years, and it completely knocked it out of the park. It met all of my expectations, and I love diving back into this world of 1816 London with all of its balls and the gossip and the romance. Since I already made a very long video about Bridgerton and why I like it so much, I will not be repeating myself now, but I love all the hard work and the detail they are pouring into these 8 episodes. And from a professional standard, their quality is just unmatched, and the show is absolutely incredible. I'm just floored by how beautiful the show is, and it is definitely one of my comfort shows. If I had one critique to make, it would be that I would have liked to see a bit more of the main couple in this season. There are so many characters now that it does feel a bit cramped at times. Oh, and Benedict's storyline, that was just a bit unnecessary, I thought. I would have liked to see it a bit different. It was a bit annoying to me that they introduced a completely new set of characters. Instead, I would have much more preferred him rediscovering art and a potential queer side of him through that one lord in season 1, who we know was gay, who was an established character, who was also an artist, and who would have made a lot more sense in this context of Benedict exploring queer sides of him that he might have. Because we knew this character and we knew what his whole spiel was. That would have made more sense to me. But yeah, other than that, this season is still my most favorite Bridgerton season so far. Can't wait for the next one. They're already filming it. Ah, yeeps. Can't wait. Heartstopper is about a 14-year-old boy named Charlie who falls in love with Nick, the boy he is sat next to in homeroom. It is the most heartwarming, wholesome, and healthy love story I have ever seen. Heartstopper is more than just a story of 2 boys falling in love. It is about coming out, the fears and struggles that come with that. It is about mental health, the struggles with bullying and unhealthy coping mechanisms that follow trauma. It is about found family, being accepted as you are, being seen and understood. I discovered Heartstopper at the beginning of this year and it became one of my most favorite shows ever. I could make an entire episode about why this show is so amazing and how much it has affected me. And although season 3 came out in October of this year, I put Heartstopper as a whole on the top of my list of this year because I discovered it only this year. Yes, I have been living under a rock, in case you were wondering. Just like Arcane, this show is so good at showing and not telling. Because it is based on a graphic novel, they add in these graphic elements that help convey the characters' emotions, supported by soundtrack and sound design. There is so much attention to detail. They make a big point of adding in little references to the books, even building the boys' rooms exactly matching the way they were drawn, right down to the posters on the walls. Going so far as to copying the boys' phone screen photos to match how they had them in the graphic novel. This show is made with so much heart, and care and love and passion, and it shows. It really shows. Heartstopper made me believe that true love does exist, that it is possible to overcome everything, and that is why it is and will always be at the very top of my list. I didn't watch a lot of movies this year. I'm more of a series girly, which you might have noticed, and that's also why I didn't make a list. There was actually only one movie that came out that I absolutely loved and had to mention, which was Dune Part 2. Oh, this movie blew my mind. It's so incredible. The cinematography, the sound design, the score, the writing, the acting, it's just all pure perfection. Denis Villeneuve is a genius and I admire his work so much and cannot wait for the next Dune movies. There are 2 more shows I want to mention here. The Signal and Murder Mindfully, both of them on Netflix. The Signal is about a father whose wife is lost in space and he tries to bring her back. Murder Mindfully is about a lawyer who accidentally gets entangled in gang stuff and murder, all while trying to become more mindful in his private life and spend more time with his family. The reason why I'm mentioning these 2 is because I helped make them. On Signal, I was the conforming artist, and on Murder Mindfully, I was a dailies QC operator. And they were both shows that I really enjoyed being part of, and that's why I wanted to mention them here, even though they did not make my top list of this year. What were your most favorite movies or shows of this year? Let me know in the comments down below. Before I sign off, a little info for you. Since January is my birthday month, I decided to take a little break and won't be back on this channel until the 20th of January. However, be sure to subscribe to my second channel, Jessie Grace, where I make music. I will post on there already on January 13th. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and turn on notifications to never miss an upload and all the amazing content coming your way. I wish you all an amazing start into the new year and a happy farewell to 2024. May the new year bring you lots of love and joy and peace and many, many happy memories. Stay crazy. See you next year. Bye!
You've got a good heart. Don't ever lose it. No matter how the world tries to break you, protect the family.
I'm ready.
What are you planning?
Watch it all burn.